We as human beings have always been fascinated with death and the idea of coming back to life. But is it really possible? I don't think so. And the big question is there an afterlife? Well, science says no, but maybe these questions and thoughts are beyond what we humans can prove. And besides, there are people who live on through their what they contribute and discover. I want to start with the most basic and certain phrase here. The only certainty in life is death. We all can agree on that, right? But for centuries, humans have been trying to come to terms with it, which can or might explain why many believe in an afterlife. So let's get on with the big question. What does philosophy say about the afterlife? Well, it's pretty natural to know whether there is life after death and to actually want there to be a life after death. Well, that is because many of us assume that death is a bad thing, something to be feared, but not everyone. Suppose for a moment that there is no life after death, that when you die, that is it. Some philosophers would ask, is it bad to be dead? Well, now it's important to add that nobody denies that dying can be unpleasant. When philosophers say that death isn't an ill or that death is no harm to the one who dies, they are not denying the suffering that some people face. Instead, what they are suggesting is that the state of being dead isn't actually a bad one. Well, the belief in an afterlife runs psychologically deep and probably comes from our intuitions about the relationship between bodies and minds. Bruce Hood, a scientist, and his colleagues ran studies on small children aged around 4 to 5. He showed them a hamster, then said he could clone an exact replica. When he asked the children if the clone hamsters shared the same physical traits as the original, well, the children said yes. But when he asked about the psychological traits of the clone, children said no. It is often assumed that adults tell children what to think, but research by people such as Hood and Baring suggests that children naturally develop these beliefs and sometimes keep them as adults. This basic and deep seated idea that our minds, our memories, our emotions, and our desires are somehow distinct and separate from our bodies. This is what enables us to believe that while our bodies might die, we might somehow still go on, perhaps as immaterial souls. Now, if you ask a biologist what happens after death, they will probably tell you all there is to know about what happens to your body after your heart stops beating. But is that the full answer to our question? I don't think so. By life after death, don't we mean something different than biological or natural life? Right? So the answer one through religions, heaven or hell. The three Abrahamic religions, those who recognize Abraham as their first prophet, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, all answer this question in a you can say similar way. They say that you're not only your body, but you're also your soul. After the death of your body, your soul lives on in a world beyond the physical world, and because Islam and Christianity both worship the Abraham's God, these two religions understand the afterlife in a similar way. Like Christians, Muslims think that we have a soul that survives the death of our body, and the idea that there will be a day when God judges humanity in one of the six core beliefs in Islam. On this day, everyone will either be sent to paradise or hell. The faithful go to paradise, which is depicted as a garden with seven layers of heaven. The top one is the Garden of Eden and the home to eat Adam and Eve. In the lower ones, your neighbors will be people like Jesus and Abraham. Hell also has seven layers, each with a different punishment for a different class of sinner. But this punishment isn't necessarily eternal. Like in Christianity, it is possible that after serving their sentence, a sinner is welcomed into paradise, and that is the most probable answer. Answer 2, rebirth. In religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, they teach that there is something about you that survives the death of your body. It does not leave this world, instead, it finds another body to go live in. In simple words, reincarnation or rebirth. So in today's world, everyone has their different perspectives and point of views, and I believe there is an the higher power who is handling all this. All this cannot just be a result of a being. It does not make sense. Today's humanist might say that there is nothing to be worried about, just stay happy and live your lives. But our lives of 60 to 70 years cannot be justified by just trying to stay happy. So after the arguments, it does not just seems like, but it is quite sure that there is an higher power who is managing, watching, and there will be a day for all of us to be judged for our actions in this life. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.